Hey, what's up everybody? This is going to be my first video on my thoughts about stuff in general, life, philosophy, fighting, spearfishing. Um, just to give you some background, I have my bachelor's and master's in philosophy, specializing in early Buddhism and symbolic logic. So I've spent pretty much my life reading and studying, and one of the things I've been reading a lot lately is the Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi. I normally read it at least once a year. This particular year, as I've been working on my thoughts on training and fighting, I've read it a number of times. And in this video, I want to talk a little bit about the Water Book. This is the second book of the 5 books, and I'll read you the passage that applies more in general, because much of the book is about fighting with a sword, various stances, various strokes. And this section is spiritual bearing in strategy. So Musashi said, "In strategy, your spiritual bearing must not be any different from normal. Both in fighting and in everyday life, you should be determined though calm. Meet the situation without tenseness, yet not recklessly. Your spirit settled, yet unbiased. Even when your spirit is calm, do not let your body relax. And when your body is relaxed, do not let your spirit slacken. Do not let your spirit be influenced by your body, or your body be influenced by your spirit. Be neither insufficiently spirited, nor over-spirited. An elevated spirit is weak, and a low spirit is weak. Do not let the enemy see your spirit. Small people must be completely familiar with the spirit of large people, and large people must be familiar with the spirit of small people. Whatever your size, do not be misled by the reactions of your own body. With your spirit open and unconstricted, look at things from a high point of view. You must cultivate your wisdom and spirit. Polish your wisdom, learn public service, distinguish between good and evil, study the ways of different arts one by one. When you cannot be deceived by men, you will have realized the wisdom of strategy. The wisdom of strategy is different from other things. On the battlefield, even when you are hard-pressed, you should ceaselessly research the principles of strategy so that you can develop a steady spirit." End quote. That's from the Book of Five Rings, the Water Book by Miyamoto Musashi. Musashi was heavily influenced by Zen. And the beginning part of that passage, it's neither this nor that things. And it seems confusing, but to me it's all-encompassing. And that all-encompassing view, or in one sense, to be a this nor that type thing, or the nothing view, or no mind, it's seeing everything without looking. So how does this apply? How am I trying to apply this to fighting and spearfishing? I'm doing it better in fighting than I'm doing it in spearfishing, but so let's take it from the spearfishing point of view. So one of the things that I do wrong is I move my head a lot. I just don't sit and relax and take in the view. Now, this is not like you're going to get a superpower, and if you just practice and meditate, you're going to see everything all over. That's basically not it. So you have your field of vision, and within that field of vision, you open your mind to take in as much of what is in that field of vision as possible. Our eyes have blind spots and don't deal with information on the periphery very well. So what happens is that our brain compensates for that. So how does this apply to the Water Book? And I've been giving a lot of thought, and I do it a lot better in my martial arts training. So how this applies, it's when I'm fighting, my gaze is a lot more steady, unlike my spearfishing. But through practice, I am able to, just through training, It's, I wouldn't say see, it's more feel where everything is. So if we're grappling, you know, I feel my foot, but my brain basically sees what's happening to my foot, if that makes any sense. It's not a vision thing. So while I can see one part of my opponent's body, I actually feel their entire body. And this to me comes from a lot of drilling, a lot of repetition, working on every little minute detail of a move or a technique, whether it be grappling or striking. To me, it's pretty much the same thing. So I'm trying to open my mind to the experience of the situation. So if I'm diving and if I hit the bottom, what I need to work on, I find when I'm more successful, is when I just stay still, look straight ahead, and whatever comes. And if I'm trying to call the fish in or whatnot, as the fish gets closer, I strike. And that's very similar to fighting when you think about it. The spear ends up being an extension of me. Much in the same way, it's a punch, a kick, a throw, a joint lock, or a choke. The attack in this case is an extension of myself in response to a specific situation. So the key for me is trying to develop that awareness. So I neither, as Musashi said, I neither see this nor I see that. I'm trying to see as much as I can. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but that's what the water book means to me. So putting it in the context of fighting, I'm going to speak about it more from a grappling rather than a striking experience, but it's pretty much the same. So when I'm training for myself and working on my game and we're sparring, I try to actually float on or float under my opponent and just move and feel their reaction and react to what they give me. And in order for me to react to what they give me, is I need to not focus on a specific thing. So for example, if I get focused on, let's say I want to get the electric chair, and the electric chair is one of my favorite moves, but anyway, if I get focused on that, I miss the opportunities that are there. So for example, a lot of the people I spar with know that I like the electric chair. So if I get focused on the electric chair, they're trying to stop the electric chair, so nothing happens. We just get stuck in one specific place. But rather than try to force the move there, to use the water analogy, I flow to something else, because in that sense, in fighting, no one can defend everything unless you're going to be the next generation Optimus robot from Tesla. We can't react that fast. If they block the electric chair, they give me something else. Maybe they'll give me a Z guard or a D path or something else. And it's the same, to put in the context of striking. If I'm attacking to the head with jabs and twos and just head hunting, my opponent's gonna raise their guard and they're gonna block the high shots. So what's open? On the lower half, the body shots, the leg shots. But if my mind in Musashi's case, in this case, the spirit is focused in on one specific thing and not the other. You can't see the other. And it sounds simple, but it's really difficult to do in practice. And that's how I'm trying to focus my training, is to just do that over and over again and stop myself. It's almost like I'm meditating when I'm fighting. In some cases, for grappling, I'll even do rounds with the bulk of it with my eyes closed. And even on my striking training, when I'm hitting the pole, not so much the bag, but more so the pole, I'll close my eyes and try to see, in this case, whether you want to call it with my mind or my spirit, try to develop those reactions. One of the key things we're working on our martial arts training is we're not seeing our opponent. Now, what I mean by that is we're not thinking of the opponent as Joe or Jane. It's the opponent, it's a collection of points, of areas, in what I call zones and targets. And if you think about it, it sounds kind of odd, but if you look at what Tesla's doing with their AI, and I recommend you watch the Tesla AI Day, it's a similar thing that they're doing. They're breaking down the world into a simpler version of the world, not a photorealistic version of the world, but a representation, in their case, a polygonal representation of the real world. So almost like, when you saw Star Wars and you're wondering at that time, oh wow, their targeting system is so basic, it's just lines. Of course, it was because animation was not that great back in the day, but it was actually ended up being prophetic, in that's how, at this stage of AI and machine learning, that's how the machine is interpreting the world. So taking that a step further to our training, that's how we're interpreting our opponent. So we're not looking at the opponent as a being. The opponent is just a collection of targets. And it requires it's not that easy to do. You can't just do it intellectually. You're thinking, wow, this guy is big, or this guy's muscular, or whatnot, or it's hard to stop looking at things like that. And it's the same for diving, right? And so when we're diving there's so much data. That's why fish school, it makes it difficult to target. But if you just, I'm trying to apply this on diving, which I'm far weaker at, is to not be cluttered with all the data, which a lot of it is unnecessary. And this way, to me, which I am trying to develop, and I've been working on this for, quite frankly, decades, and it's slow going, because that's not how we look at the real world. And so, it's getting better. It's an interesting journey, and that's where I'm at so far. And that's my interpretation of the Water Book, which is the second book of the Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi. If you made it this far, or if this kind of thing interests you, I'd love to talk to you guys about it. Please leave a comment below, and I'll be sure to respond. I'll keep you posted on further thoughts. Thanks for watching, and aloha.